Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Ntomodu Show. I'm your host, Ambassador Dr. One, your host, Simmery, Dr. O. I'm also the president of the African Women Mobilization Commission. I am excited about this show. Why does this show matter, you may ask? Well, in a world where our stories deserve to be told, this platform amplifies the voices that shape our community. By tuning in, you do not only gain valuable insights, but also join a movement celebrating success, culture, and unity. But with this more, to keep the spirit of this show alive, we need your support. So subscribe to our channel and become a vital part of our journey. Remember, our organization thrives on your patronage. And every subscription helps us to bring more inspiring content to your ears. So let's make some noise together and show the world the power of our community. But before we delve into today's episode, I would like to introduce to you my special guest today. You've met her before, but she still needs additional introductions for those who don't know. It is my pleasure to welcome Jamela Franklin. Jamela is the founder and CEO of Oyinde Enterprises, an accomplished holistic psychotherapist, certified aromatherapist and teacher, certified Reiki master and teacher, certified metaphysician and teacher, reflexologist, energy transformation practitioner, holistic life coach, radio talk show host, college professor, award-winning published author. Professor Franklin brings a wealth of experience and training to her current private practice in holistic health and spiritual wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my pleasure to welcome my co-host today. Hello, Jamela.
Greetings, Dr. Ua Asimari. It is a pleasure to join you again. I love being with you.
And it is wonderful to read your bios because it tells everybody, look, you can do it all. You can do it all. I still come out looking like Professor Jamela Franklin.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to keep up with you, Dr. Asimari. That's what it is. It's like,
hey, listen,
the bar
I have just
is high. The bar is
I'm
high.
trying to keep up with you. I'm trying to keep up with you. Welcome. We have an exciting show
Thank
today. The
you.
importance of empathy in relationships. I think it's a very important topic. So let's talk about it. This is a crucial
Yes.
topic, the importance of empathy in relationships. In a world that often feels divided, empathy can serve as a powerful bridge, helping us to connect with strangers and foster understanding in our diverse communities. So, what exactly is empathy? At its core, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. It's not just about feeling sorry for someone, it's about stepping into their shoes and experiencing their emotions. Professor Jamila, recently, a shop owner named Rick Chow shot a 14-year-old Black young man in the back.
Mm,
He said that he
mm.
thought the young man had turned a certain way. And of course, there's always an excuse why we kill our young people. Now, unfortunately, he was acquitted. And then in anger, African Americans stated that they will boycott Asian stores. An Asian man, unfortunately, took to TikTok and decided to
Mm.
encourage African Americans to do just that because he felt that African Americans depend so much on Asian products and Asian hair stores and nail polish stores and whatever else. I mean, he just had a litany of things that he thinks that we need, and if we should boycott them, we'll be at a disadvantage. Well, his comments has ramifications, and this is what we're talking about: empathy. He did not empathize with the African American community who are angry because a young man senselessly has been killed, and the person who killed him was acquitted. Let me ask you: Do you know this incident? I think you sent me
Yeah,
something about. Yeah, tell me a little bit
yeah.
more your understanding of this incident, before we go into more discussion about empathy.
Well, what I've discovered in listening to different people with their reels and semi podcasts is that Rick Chow, this is not his first time doing something like this. He's done it before. He has shot at two previous Black customers. And one person, one Black customer said something to him, and the person went to his car, and Rick Chow followed the guy out of his store and shot into the car 6 times. Then he shot someone, another, I think, Black teen in the leg. So, and this child, because this was a child, Cyrus was a child. They found out he was 14 years old, that he did not steal anything, that he did not have a gun, that it's been circulated that his wife, Chow's wife, took some of his belongings, the child's belongings, took his shoes and some other things from the scene, and they shot him cold-bloodedly in the back. As if someone is running from you and you're shooting them in the back, that's very intentional. And that he didn't have a gun. All those things were incorrect. So he had the intention of killing this child. He and his son ran out of the store to not apprehend him, because if you didn't intend to kill, well, first of all, he shouldn't have shot him because he didn't steal anything. He had no water on him or anything. All of this has come to light that was incorrect. So if you are intending to cause no harm, you use pepper spray at the most.
That's right.
But this man had the intention of killing him. His sole purpose was to kill him, right? And the child had no defense. So they've concocted the story that he had a gun, but they found out, like I said, that he didn't have one. It wasn't a gun found on him, and that he didn't turn to shoot the man. None of that. He was running. So what the community did is they tore up the store. Rightfully so. I'm going to step out there and say rightfully so. And the man was acquitted. And the unfortunate thing that I've since learned is that there were 5 Black jurors on the jury, which to me, that makes no sense. And there were some Latino jurors too. So the empathy to me that they should have for someone who looked like them was not there. And they said the judge told them, he didn't give them like a middle ground. He was either like acquit or some extreme or whatever. So I guess that they couldn't come to some consensus, and they chose to acquit this killer, this felon. So the community is not taking that down, not taking that lightly, and rightfully so. But you know what, Dr. Osumari? I think all the things that are happening in this country are a wake-up call for people that I call our Cabelins, because that's our real name. All the Africans throughout the diaspora. This is a wake-up call.
Yes, it is.
These people are telling us they don't care about us.
They don't.
Right? And see, my history goes all the way back, because my mother, grandmother, everybody, 400 years, their feet were planted on the soil, with our origin being on the continent of Africa. I'm very clear about that. Everyone who knows me knows that I know where my origination began. But in terms of my lineage here in this country, it goes back beyond 400 years. So, and the 1964 Civil Rights Act did not say if you were Asian, you shouldn't be included. If you were Latino, you should not be included. If you're of any group, if you're from another country, you should not be included. We have welcomed people from different groups and ethnicities. And we're tired.
Yes. We are tired. My God. We're tired. And so, Professor, that's the point. These people have no empathy for us.
No, none.
They don't have any empathy for us. They never see. When you kill a young African-American and you don't empathize with this community that lost this child, this is a future of the African world. You just snap them and you think it's okay. You have no empathy. You don't care. So what? Then you dare us. Well, don't shop with us and see what happens. And yet, unfortunately, some of these businesses are in our communities. You're making your money. Yeah, you're making all this money. You're living the good life. And this young man had the audacity, the young man on on TikTok, and unfortunately, he has bitten more than he can chew, because a lot of
Yes.
African Americans say, okay, very well then, we'll take you up on
Okay.
that offer. We will start
Yeah.
boycotting. And he
Yeah.
even bragged that they live in white communities. They don't need us. Who told you we need you? Just like you said, Professor Franklin, we are open. We're so open-minded. We're so welcoming. It is our
Yes.
nature. It is our spiritual nature
Yeah.
to be
Yes.
welcoming of
Yes.
strangers to our shores.
Yes.
And even in Africa, we welcome the strangers. So for you to
Yes.
now brag that,
Yes.
oh, oh no, and the other thing he was saying is that African Americans should be ashamed that people are coming from other countries and doing better. Can you imagine? Let's talk about
Oh
all the
yeah.
discoveries that African Americans made,
Oh yeah.
everything people are using.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
listen, go ahead.
There isn't anything in this country that we have not created or aided into the creation. The so-called Caucasians, what that name means, they came from Caucasus Mountains. There's
Mhm,
nothing. What has happened is they've taken our inventions, even our culture, and Asians too. Koreans
yes.
call it K-pop. That's nothing but hip hop, okay?
Hmm.
That they've
Hmm.
stolen. They take
Hmm.
our creations, they take our clothing, even on TikTok. What they've done, a lot of creative designers who design clothes, a lot of Asians and so-called white people have taken their creations, stolen them, and now they're marketing them. And
Hmm.
a young black young woman went to court against this white woman. You know, the judge ruled for the white woman and put a gag order on the black woman whose designs were stolen and told her
Hmm.
that she is not allowed to talk about it. And the woman walked away free. So I'm saying to people, listen, this is a wake-up call.
It
Every
is.
group has turned against us.
Yes.
Every group, even the people talking about APAC, the Palestinians. Where are the Palestinians with us now? Where are
Hmm.
they? Every
Hmm.
group is turned against us. Okay, so I
Yeah.
tell people that goes only so far with me because with me, I grew up in the South. So I saw what my mom had to do as a domestic worker. And
Mm.
she vowed that I would never have a life like that. And she, with her pennies, put together uh, money to send me care packages to Cornell University. I was very, very blessed to have gone to an Ivy League school for college and for
Yeah.
undergraduate school. But I know
Yeah.
I didn't do that on my own. I know I
Hmm.
stood on the shoulders of my mother, my grandmother,
Yes.
on the shoulders of Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey, on the shoulders of Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm very clear. And see, that's what
Yes.
they're trying to have us not understand. If they ban our books, you won't know your history. And the thing that enrages me is that they tell us, oh, that's in the past. And some of us are so naive to buy that. Whereas people who are Jewish, every every holiday they celebrate what happened to them in terms of the Holocaust. No one is telling them, and they shouldn't tell them, not to honor their history. They are celebrated for that. Asians are celebrated for that. You cannot go into a nail shop and you don't see a little altar that they're
Hmm.
honoring their ancestors. But when
Yes.
it comes to us, if we do it, it's voodoo. If we do it, there's something wrong with us, and we have bought the lie. So I'm telling people, look, all these things that are happening, they're lynching us now. You're finding out about all these young black boys that are being lynched. What does it take for us to stand up and say enough is enough? Me, no more Asian shops. Me,
Nope.
no more Asian beauty supply stores. There's a beauty supply store here, very nice, black owned in Smyrna. The nail shops, black owned, and I'm putting this out because you know how I do daily. I'm telling people these are the black owned salons, these are the black owned tea houses, these are the black
Yes.
owned beauty supply stores. So if you go to Asian stores now after what this man said, you then are complicit, and I don't
That's
want to
right.
hear you say anything about what's going on because you're part of the problem. And some of the excuses I've heard, well, it costs too much for me to go to black stores, or the person was rude, or this, that, and other. A friend of mine said her friend went into an Asian beauty supply store recently. A little Asian girl was following her around the store. She turned
Mm-hmm.
around and said, "Why are you following me?" And the girl said, "You steal." They tell their
Oh,
children, a little child. She said, she turned around, she said, "What?" She said, "You steal." Okay. So they have that in their minds. You cannot go into an Asian community and set up a black store. They're not
no,
having
you
it.
can't.
You
It's
cannot
not
go
happening.
into a Latino community, set up a black store. They're not having it. You cannot
Nope.
go into predominantly all white upscale community and set up a black store. They're not
Nope.
having it. So
They're not
people who
having it.
tell me, well, it's convenient because I have someone who's a so-called activist, and she comes
Mhm.
up with all these excuses why she shops at these
Music.
stores. I said, let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you something. I said, look, no other community shares that sentiment that you have. They are not
Yes.
going to, even if they live in your community, they're not going to shop at your stores.
Mm-hmm.
For these people to get off the boat and to
Mm-hmm.
set up a shop in the heart of a black community, to me, it's crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
I've told people this years ago. I said, how do they come to our community, set
Mm-hmm.
up convenience stores, and discriminate? That
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the heart of the community, and you allow uh, people who are Arab, Asian, anybody who doesn't look like you. No convenience store that I've seen in the black community is owned by us. They all have Asian or some other people in our stores, and they don't put it back into our community. So you can see, I'm very passionate. I've been passionate about this for a while. I said, I don't discriminate. I said, but it doesn't make sense. If we can't go into their communities to set up businesses, they should not be allowed to come into ours. We need to stop the madness. We need to put our money back into our community. We're a 1.6, someone said $2.1 trillion market. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody disrespects us because
Yes.
we do not talk with our dollars. I'm telling people,
Mm-hmm.
stop being emotional with the protests, protest
Mm-hmm.
with your money.
With your
Protest.
money. That's right.
Do not buy from people who don't look like you and who discriminate against you. There's some stores that don't. Like Costco supports us. If it supports you, buy from them, right? But if they don't and they're blatant, like Walmart and the rest of them, Target, why are you shopping there and then getting angry? It makes no sense. I'm
That's
very
right. You
passionate,
know,
very passionate about
you
that.
know what, you know what it's called when they are able to, and then the thing about they hire themselves, they hire each other. All right.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
obviously, the idea is to get rich together. It's called the spider web syndrome. I don't know if you've heard it. The
Oh
spider web
no.
syndrome. Now, let me
Yeah.
paint a picture for you. Let me paint a picture for you. You have you have maybe an Asian coming from Asia. When they get to the airport, right? They already have a job because at the airport they're going to find those kiosks. Somebody there will say, hey, if you need a job, I have a brother who works at so and so and so, you go over there and they'll give you a job. So when they
Wow.
get there, they get hired. Now, how many Asian stores, I mean real Asian stores, do you have black people working in? How many?
No.
Go to some of them and see. Maybe in rare occasions, situations that may be the case. Okay, but for the most part, that goes for the Indians and
Yeah.
whomsoever, they
Yeah.
hire each other, right?
Yeah.
They keep that money in the community because
Yeah.
when we rise together, we become prominent in whatever society we find ourselves in. All right. We
Yeah.
haven't adopted that attitude.
Yeah.
I've got to tell you, I had a business when I was operating businesses for the group of mentally challenged. I had a friend who owned numerous businesses, but she didn't hire blacks. But she's a black woman. And then I
Wow.
asked her, why don't you hire, why is it that you don't? Because most of my employees were African Americans. Well, why don't you hire them? She says, well, no, because just like you said, they steal. Oh, really? Your
It's
own
sad.
people. Now
It's
you
sad.
cannot smear every African person with that kind of nonsense. You understand? There's no race. There's nobody that you hire that you don't have an anomaly amongst them.
Right.
That would do.
Right.
That would steal and do all that sort of thing. But for you to be an African American and then you refuse because maybe you had bad experience with one, then now you refuse to hire people of your own color because you are in the position to do that. So we need to get
Exactly.
into the habit. quite frankly, to
Exactly.
have empathy for each other. And if people don't have empathy
Exactly.
with us, then we should not focus on what's good for them. Let's focus on what's good for us. Now, I
Exactly.
wish everybody goodwill. I want everybody to have whatever it is that
Exactly.
is ordained for them. But I also care about my people. So
Exactly.
what, the importance of empathy cannot be overstated. Let's consider its role, in bridging gaps between strangers. When we encounter someone from a different background, be it cultural, racial, or socio-economic, our immediate instinct might be to judge or misunderstand. And quite frankly, Professor Franklin, I think that's what happens when people meet us. It's not based on what they know about us. For the most
Mhm.
part, it's based on misunderstanding some things that's been spread about. I don't know about you. When I was attending college at the University of North Alabama, it wasn't unusual for me to walk into a store. They don't know me. All they see is my skin color, and I have an accent and all that sort of thing. They follow you around. They followed me around
Mhm.
so much, and I said, "What do you want?" And the same
Mhm.
thing. Well,
Mhm.
it's our responsibility to make sure nothing leaves the store. Who's living with anything, without paying for it? For me, coming from a different culture,
Mhm.
that is not the way things are done. We don't. I don't come into a store
Mhm.
to steal. I come to buy. And so
Mhm.
we do that. We support
Mhm.
every business. African people, spiritually, we don't hate people. We don't. We don't
Right.
spiritually
Right.
hate. We don't.
Right.
You know, because
Right.
the way you treat a stranger, you have to expect to be treated the same way. But unfortunately, because
Right.
of the lack of empathy towards our people, right? People don't act well towards us. But
Right.
the empathy is what helps people understand each other. But we live in a society right now, unfortunately, there's so much lack of empathy, so much lack of
Mhm.
empathy. It's them and us. You take from them to make yourself feel good. Look at all the DEI and everything that's being
Mhm.
taken away from us. Are you considering the fact that we have children to raise, children in school? We have to feed these kids. We have to pay our mortgage, but you just take our jobs from us.
Mhm.
Gentlemen, that's because of
Mhm.
lack of empathy.
Mhm.
The
But you
lack
know,
of empathy.
Dr. Osemere, I think that they know, because that's why they hit and do what they do to fire over 300,000 black women in the federal government. Oh, they know. Black
Mhm.
women in this country are the most educated out of white
Yes, they are.
men, white women, black men. We're the most educated.
That's
So
right.
what this regime has decided to do, we're going to cut them off at their knees,
Hmm.
because they know, first of all, we're not as impressionable as black men. They can't buy
Yes.
us.
No.
We don't go easily. We're very critical thinkers, right?
Yes.
And so
Mhm.
they're like, okay, and they started us. This man who wrote 2025 agenda, white man, I think his name was Stephen Roberts or whatever. He
Uh-huh.
People checked him out. He supposedly got a degree, a PhD in African American studies or history. He
Hmm.
studied us like a course. He studied us for years. Okay. And then he wrote the 2025 racist agenda. So we have to be very, very clear about some things. All people who don't look like us are not against us, but about 85
True.
to 90% are,
Mm.
right? But for that racist Asian to have gotten on to talk about how they can hurt us economically, he
Mhm.
never ever mentioned that child's name.
No,
He
he
never
didn't.
talked about the
No.
atrocity. He never
Mm-mm.
even mentioned it, because in his head he was like, okay, you don't matter anyway. We're going to
Mhm.
show you that you depend on us. We don't care about what we've done to
That's
you.
right.
We don't care that you have allowed us in this country. We don't care that you have been our primary people who go to our stores and support us.
Mhm.
We don't care
Yeah.
about that, because we have studied you. We know that no
Mhm.
matter what we do to you, you still would come to buy from us.
There you
So there
go.
are
That's
people
the
who
key
are,
right there.
yeah, well, whatever we do. Now, and we know that we can follow you around like this little Asian girl following around a grown woman saying you steal,
Hmm.
and you still would give us a pass. But have
That's right.
one black shop owner have one bad experience with one black person, and then you
Hmm.
write us off for good. That's
That's
because
right.
that's colonization. That's
Hmm.
the effects of imperialism. That's racism at its core. Because I know people who think like that. They would come up with all kinds of excuses why they
Hmm.
can't shop with a black uh, store owner or business person. And they would go to Walmart, they would go to Target, they would go to all of these stores that discriminate against them and patronize
Hmm.
them.
And
And they would come up
patronize
with
them.
excuses. Oh yeah, and they would come up with excuses. Well, I shop there because it's close to my house. I
It's,
said, that's no excuse.
it's close to
You
my
can shop
house.
online. You can shop
Mm.
online. I said, so that's no excuse. You don't even have to leave your house. You can shop online with black. There were 300,000 black businesses, right? And you can go to them and receive the respect. If you don't receive the respect, you talk to them because those are your kinfolk and say, you need to clean this up,
Yes.
right? And they have a
Yes.
choice to do it. But to dismiss them because you've had one negative experience with one and to keep going to Asian shops makes
Hmm.
no sense. It tells me how colonized you are and they always come up with an excuse why they would continue to support a racist business. And most of my
Hmm.
friends and I, will it's done. He got on there. He didn't mention that child at all. He had no
No.
apology for what happened. He basically said, "You need us. We're in control of
Yes.
everything." I said, "Baby, you don't understand. We have
Yeah.
Ibrahim. We have Ibrahim Traore. We have folk here in this country. Honey, we're building. We don't talk about everything that we're doing. The people on Instagram, whatever they talk, they're not the ones behind the scenes doing it. So
Nope.
there's a lot that's going on that we're doing in a clandestine fashion. But we need to stop
Hmm.
talking, and we need to start doing like the ancestors. Keep your mouth shut and just do. Don't support white businesses. Don't support Latino businesses. Don't support Asian businesses. Don't support Arab businesses that discriminate and mistreat you and that are arrogant. You have choice. You are $2.1 trillion or $1.6 trillion market, and
Yes.
they know it. And that's the
Yes.
reason why they burned down Black Wall Street and whatever. Whenever we come together, they burn it
Hmm.
down. The latest thing that they're doing is black organizations, white folk now trying to sue, saying that now, first of all, you don't want us in your schools, you don't want us in your organizations, so we have our own. Now they're trying to sue all black organizations. That's how psychotic they are. That's how
Come on.
crazy they are.
Come
You
on.
don't want us there, right? And we have our own and we're leaving, and now you're trying to sue and say it's racist. That's how crazy they are. It's like when we say we don't leave us alone, we don't want you, we never wanted you, we're done. Now, oh my God, they understand their power because they know if we pull that money back, this country is gone. It's gone. It's underwater. They know
You know.
that. So they keep trying to brainwash us, which is crazy.
You know.
There
You
was a
know.
young
One of
woman,
the things.
I'm on my
You,
time now.
you know. One of the things that people need to understand, and why empathy is so important, is if you are not willing to hear someone else's side of the story or feel, have some concern, have some humanity towards them, they're going to have to react
Hmm.
however they can to survive. The world is a Serengeti, only the fittest survive. Do you understand? And if you throw us into that Serengeti, we're going to try and survive by any means necessary. Do you understand? You cannot continue to
Hmm.
dehumanize a race of people constantly, consistently, and expect them not to do something about it. We're not going to go in the streets and riot. You don't see us doing that. We're not going to be screaming and
No,
yelling.
no,
No, but we do know what
that's a
we
past
must
position.
do. And it becomes an imperative that all of us are in the
Hmm.
same boat. We think alike. Survival is important. You don't have to survive through violence, but you can survive
Hmm.
using whatever tool that's not going to endanger anyone physically, physiologically, but is going to hit them where they would understand that humanity is an imperative, that you need to honor and respect other people. You see, and that is where we are right now. Empathy is a way for us
Hmm.
to connect with each other, to understand each other, right? But when one side is empathetic and the other ones are not, You understand? It's not an
Mm-hmm.
even playing field. So you run into the situation where people will say, okay, well, if you don't need us, all right, here we go. We'll do what we have to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And this gentleman, unfortunately, does not understand that African Americans and Black people throughout the world, we're kind of tired now. We're tired of the
Mm-hmm.
abuse. We're tired of the disrespect. If you don't see me as a human being
Mm-hmm.
and you don't value my humanity, then I'll say, okay, fine. I got it. I know what to do. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So I think very
Mm-hmm.
honestly, for the world to be a better place, we have to go beyond our biases and recognize our shared humanity in each other, particularly if we're supporting you. How many
Yeah.
African
And I think,
shops have Asians coming to support them? How many African shops
right,
that Asians will
right,
leave their homes and come to support? Have you gone to
right.
African American owned restaurants and seen? I go to this Jamaican restaurant all the time. The only people I see are African people, Black people. That's who I see. I don't see
Mm-hmm.
any other race coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there may be when I'm not there,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see other people coming to support them. In rare occasions, you do, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been to that place so many times, and I'm yet to see anybody who is not an African person supporting them. So, but we are very
Mm-hmm.
generous with our money, with our time. We go everywhere and support. Well, if we like the product, we're going to buy it. But you have to start at some point. Then we have to start. You can't allow people to do. You can't blame people to do for doing to them. I mean, for doing to you what you allow them to do to you.
You're allowed.
We're
Exactly.
allowing it. We're allowing it. If this
Mm-hmm.
man has the
Mm-hmm.
audacity to stand there and say, "Well, come on, then we don't need you," and yet all your businesses, majority are in my community, and you don't need me.
80%. eighty
And
percent.
so
Yeah.
very well then. You asking me now, I do, let us be clear, I do empathize that it is not all Asians. As a matter of fact, I don't even know, is he Chinese? I'm not even sure. But it's not all Asians that are
Yeah.
that way. But that's besides the point. The important thing is that
Right.
we need to have our own, we need to build ourselves up. If you build yourselves up and you're doing so much better, people respect you more. But you can't demand respect from people who disrespect you, and you keep, like you said, Professor, you keep going and supporting them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so
To me, that's
so
an
when we
oxymoron. Yeah.
when we meet people from different cultures, who have different life experiences, we shouldn't make any assumptions about who they are. We should have empathy, and
Mm-hmm.
empathy encourages us to ask questions and listen attentively. Listen
Mm-hmm.
actively. Pay attention
Mm-hmm.
to what the person is saying. When these African Americans are saying, we are angry, we are tired of being disrespected, we are tired of our young people being killed, your role is not to say, and then if they said, you know what, we're not supporting you anymore, they're not saying that because it's just something that just happened recently. They're saying it because they've seen it so many times that they're
Mm-hmm.
saying enough is enough. Instead of you being sympathetic, you decide, okay, well, we'll show you. Don't shop here. You'll be at a disadvantage because we give you this, we give you that. What are you going to do about the nails? Oh, he even said that. How many Black
Oh
people
yeah.
did you hear that? So it's so
Oh
important
yeah.
that we on ourselves as African people need to understand what empathy is. People must empathize with us for us to empathize with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Mm-hmm.
we transform our
Mm-hmm.
communities. If you empathize with me, I empathize with you. But if you're not going to do that, then let me empathize with my own people. How about that?
But Dr. Yeah, what I've seen here growing up in this country, that's what we've done. We've empathized with white people. We've aligned ourselves with Black women with white women with the women's suffragette movement in the early 1900s. And then they turned against us and said that we shouldn't have the right to vote. Every time we've done that, it's backfired because I
Yeah.
know people who would give up their lives to
Mm.
breastfeed white babies during slavery. They empathized with them. And give you another
Yeah.
example, Harriet Tubman went back to get her sister who refused to leave being in bondage because she empathized with the white master. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So I think what we're now saying is that we, we, we're tired of empathizing with you because it doesn't matter. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing that matters, and I don't, we protested during the 60s. They heard us, and now that they're like, okay, what else is going on? I'm telling people, the strategy now, since they think that they don't need us, since they think that they can kill us at random and all these other things, and since all the groups we've empathized with, the Palestinians, the
Mm-hmm.
Latinos, all of them, not one of them
Yes.
as a group come to our aid.
Mm-mm.
Not one of them as a group, you understand, has come to our aid. We're there with each other. We're all we have with the ancestors and the creator. No one as a
Mm-hmm.
group,
Mm-hmm.
even the so-called leftist politicians. Where's Bernie Sanders? Where is Marianne Williamson? Where are these people? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? All the white ministers, Joel Osteen. I'm calling them out. I'm calling all of them. Where are they? You're so into humanizing when. Where are you? And the thing that empathize to me, the way that you get them to, because I don't even know if they, you have, you can only empathize if you see someone as human. They don't see us as human,
Mm-hmm.
so
That's
I
the
don't
thing.
even think that that's possible. I think the only way to get their attention, because see, for me, I don't think the empathy is within them. The only way to get their attention is to withdraw your money.
There you go.
The green dollar, the green dollar is their god. Once
Mm-hmm.
you with, we saw it with Target. We every time we have pulled away our dollars, all of a sudden they're not empathizing. It's a business decision. That's what we have to
Yes.
understand. When people don't see you as human, they don't have the capacity to connect with you on that level because they don't see you as human. For that man
Yes.
to shot that child in the back,
A
he saw
14-year
him
old.
as a
I
14
said
year
a
old. He saw
14-year
him
old.
as an he assassinated him. That was an assassination. So when people don't see you, like we were viewed as three-fifths of a human being at the founding of this country, they don't see us as human beings.
No,
So if
don't.
you don't see us as human beings, you can shoot, you can kill, because if
Mm-hmm.
you see us as human beings, you can't do that. Your conscience won't allow you to do it.
Yeah.
So they have to dehumanize us so they can justify what they do. So I'm telling people, you don't have to see me as a human being. You just won't get my money. The way you became a billionaire is because black folks supported you. The way you
Mm-hmm.
became a millionaire is because black folks supported you. The reason why you're in our communities is because we allowed you in. The door is closed. The door is closed.
I
And don't come back saying you're going to sue us for all black organizations, because that shows me that you're psychotic. You don't want us, but you don't want us to succeed. That's a problem.
mm-hmm.
You know,
And
and I'm telling people, look at the
that's right. And you sometimes you cannot blame. I said it earlier. Do not blame people for doing to you what you allow them to do. At some point, you've got to take responsibility for your growth or lack thereof, for your financial growth, for your
yeah,
psychological growth, for your spiritual growth. All of those things are your responsibility. If you allow people
yeah,
to treat you the way they treat you, then that's your fault. Okay. If there's a hairdressing salon, barber shop, I think it is in Walmart, that is owned by an African American couple, right? And that was my first time of seeing that in Walmart. And I was just so excited. I said, what? When I asked them who owns this, and they told me who owns it. So that has become now my favorite place to get my hair cut and all that sort of thing. You know, I see, it says, do you see me? I see you.
mhm,
Because they know that a lot of African people, African Americans, shop at Walmart, right? So that is a convenient place for them to set up their store, right? And then it becomes
mhm,
our responsibility to support them. But I'll be honest with you, what I saw next to them is a hairdressing, it's a nail shop, okay, owned by Asians, right? Now, sometimes you come and you see this African barber shop, maybe one person is in it, sometimes maybe two. Sometimes you see the barber sitting there with nobody there. But then the nail shop is packed with our people,
Mm-hmm.
with our people.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying. Don't complain about what people are doing when you allow it. There's no reason
Yeah.
why
But see, to
that
me,
store should be that empty.
mm-hmm.
We should see what they're trying to achieve is they're trying to it's a well-placed place for them to host this business, to open this business, because there are a lot of African Americans coming there.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
we don't patronize
Oh,
ourselves. So a few people will struggle in there, but right next door, we're patronizing somebody else. So empathy to me is just,
yeah.
if we're giving you empathy, if we're showing empathy, we want you to show us the same thing. It's a catalyst for dialogue. It's a catalyst for humanity. It's a catalyst for conversations. It's a catalyst for open heart. It's a catalyst. We create an environment where everyone feels heard and valued. But if you're killing our children and we get
Mm-hmm.
angry, and instead of empathizing with us, you're threatening us. Well, you know, if we choose that we're not going
Mm-hmm.
to buy from you, then so you don't need us. But you're in our community. You're in our
Mm-hmm.
community making money,
Mm-hmm.
making lots of money. But because you don't value us, you
Mm-hmm.
think it's okay to tell us, oh, well, if you don't want us, we're not going to be there. If you don't want us, we're not going to, we're not going to be
Mm-hmm.
impacted by
Mm-hmm.
your absence. Well, that's an insult as far as I'm concerned. You're not going to be impacted by
Mm-hmm.
our absence, and yet we're the ones
Mm-hmm.
making you money, giving you money. So anyway, it is so important to me
Mm-hmm.
that we as a people start paying attention to what empathy is. Don't give away the store just so that you'll be empathetic towards other people. Make sure it goes both ways. Because if it doesn't go both ways, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what we
But
do. It doesn't matter what we do; they will never appreciate it. you
mm-hmm.
know we have
Mm-hmm.
to stop this nonsense about, if they slap you on one cheek, you turn the other to be slapped again.
Yeah.
That's not how you do it.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not
Yeah.
going to
I
slap
don't
you,
believe
but
it.
if you slap me, I'm going to slap you back. you know if you don't empathize with my
Right.
people, with
Right.
my children, with my family, with my people who look like me, why should I empathize with you? And then it
Right.
becomes a responsibility, like I said earlier,
Right.
that we as a people need to say, okay, is enough, enough is enough, because it will never stop. It will never stop
Mm-hmm.
until we decide that we've had enough. I'm going to take a quick break and go for a short commercial
Mm-hmm.
about the Ndomodu show, and we're always asking individuals who will be interested in being interviewed, regardless of what your background is. This is an open store. Please visit us. Yes, indeed. If you want to be a guest on our show, please visit us, send us an email on the ntomodushow@gmail.com. This is Dr. Wonyo Hosimiri. I'm back again with my co-host today, Professor Jamela Franklin. Hello, Professor. I wanted to comment. I love the yellow on you. That just stands right out. That's
Oh,
just
thank
beautiful.
you.
You are so welcome.
Thank
And
you.
you are so
Thank
welcome. Let's talk about the community gatherings for an example. You know, when people come together to share their stories and experiences, empathy allows listeners to appreciate the challenges and triumphs of others. You know, the shared
Mhm.
understanding can unite people, breaking down barriers and promoting inclusivity. You know, sometimes they say African Americans will invite you to the cookout. You know why they want
Mhm.
to, because they want you to experience what happens at the cookout, the family gathering, the joy, the excitement, the love that you find in our communities, which is different from what you may know,
Mhm.
you may think about us, you know. So so this is how we cultivate empathy in our daily lives, you know, by bringing people into our space. But then if those people don't want to be in our space, and as a matter of fact don't see that as a positive, then you know it's imperative that we just do our own thing, just leave them out, you know, leave them out and focus on you,
Mhm.
you know, focus on you. And one of the things I just wanted to just share very briefly, our children unfortunately really are at a disadvantage at some of these schools. You know, let me tell you what I mean
Mhm.
by that. Okay, they are being taught to learn the way that children, that white children learn. Our children don't learn that way. And some of these teachers don't
Mhm.
have any empathy. That there's a
Mhm.
reason why some of our children, you know,
Mhm.
many of our children are not, they learn, many of our children learn from doing, not just listening, from doing, from actually showing their talent, what they can do
Mhm.
by talking, by listening. But they're forced to sit there and do all these writings and things like that. You know, that's not to say that they can't do it, but then you have to have empathy and look at how they learn. You know, our children are boisterous, right? Particularly our boys, they're very boisterous because they come from families where people are always doing, you know, people are always talking, active, all kinds of things going on. Not, they're not used to this sitting like this, you know, just being quiet, you know. But a lot of these teachers don't see that.
Mhm.
So our children are put in an environment where they are forced to be like other children who don't reflect their own experiences. So they have
Mhm.
to sit there, and if they don't do that, then the teacher calls, sends them to the principal's office or whatever. So who they are becomes something wrong. There's something wrong with them. You know, you don't see that, well, the children are different. You know, these African American children, you know, they learn a certain way. You know, you don't discard or discriminate against them because they learn differently. But that's one of the things that I've got to be honest with you, Professor, that I see our children are really not getting the best in an environment that doesn't nurture them. Quite frankly, I think that our children should go to African schools. I think they should go to black schools so they can learn and appreciate who they are. You're
Yeah.
only better
Yeah.
outside. You can only join
Yeah.
the rest of the world when you feel good about yourself. But you're if in an environment 24/7, think about that, Professor, every day.
Mhm.
You know, I have my nephew. My nephew went to school in California, and it was just every day he was no good. He was this, he was that. And the mother was losing it. The parents were just losing it. What is wrong with their son? There was nothing wrong with their son, you know. And I finally had to go to the school, and I told them that my
Mhm.
dissertation had to do with the impact of education on black kids. And so I want you to tell me what is wrong with this my
Mhm.
nephew. What's going on with him? Well, you know, they changed their tune because I was talking about the fact that I'm doing research on the impact that schools have on children. So they left him alone. Now my
Mhm.
sister sent him to Nigeria.
Mhm.
Now, this is a kid they were saying was not doing well. You know, oh, he was slow, he was obnoxious. 1 minute he's slow, 1 minute he's obnoxious. I mean, all kinds of things. And you're putting that in his head. You're putting that in his head. He's confused. He doesn't know what to do. Well, I tell you what happened. He went to Nigeria and he went to school for
Mhm.
1 year in a boarding school for 1 year. You know, now he's graduating he's going to be an attorney. When he came back here, was totally different person because they pumped pride into him. They pumped pride into him. My nephew came
Yeah.
home and he was just killing it in school because he now realizes there's nothing wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with him. All he needed is somebody to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate him, to I have empathy, to understand how he learns, as opposed to, putting him down for
Mm-hmm.
not being like them, like the other children, that sort of thing. I'm not saying don't send your children
Right.
to school, but we should also acknowledge some of the challenges that they have. Now, Professor, let me ask you, what are some of the things that you would say would help us develop, cultivate empathy in our daily lives? What are some practical tips you can give?
Well, I think what's happened in this country is it's been so unfortunately. This is a systemic approach
Problem.
to take away everything that we hold dear because for the most part we're not really materialistic at our core, we're more spiritual. And so
Hmm.
this culture has learned that, especially with black women and older black women, you can't buy us. So the
Hmm.
materialistic stuff that they throw at young people today is a problem because they're buying souls, right? So I think what we need to teach are the core values, like what your nephew learned when he went back to Nigeria. I grew up in the South, so I grew up with core values that were very akin to African core values. You respected your elders. You didn't talk back.
Hmm.
Education was important. You valued life. I mean, we had core values, and we had a
Yes.
community. If my neighbor saw me doing something, she had permission to spank me. And then she could tell my mom, who then would spank me again.
Yeah.
And now I understand, people have used that the wrong way and beating children, whatever. But it was a community that was raising children. And you knew not to use profanity because you didn't know who was on that bus who knew your mother. So we had core values that they've stripped away. They've used the shorts like What's Happening, which was a little black girl who was insubordinate back in the
Mm.
80s, The Simpsons. They've used these
Mm.
cards, they've used media to
Yeah.
strike at the heart of our children. They have
Yes.
media games that they
Hmm.
put children on. Children should be outside. They don't need to be in the
Playing.
car on
Yes.
computer games that are indoctrinating them. So and
Yes.
so this stuff is not random. It's systematic. Because I studied this. I was an African Studies major at Cornell. I've studied it. This was a planned
Mm.
assault on us and on our children. And when you were saying in terms of our have really understanding and supporting each other, this is what the latest assault has been. Don Lemon, who is used to be a CNN anchor, has his own podcast. What this administration has said, and a black lawyer uh, produced receipts about it. If you listen to him, they're going to track you. So any black activist anchor, so people are afraid to get back to your question. People who don't have a sense of self are intimidated. They're like, well, if I do this and they find out about me, then I may not be able to get a job. And that's what they're doing with the algorithms. People are
Hmm.
seeing if they really come out and support us, you're going to be penalized. Now, what people don't understand is it's okay because we have our own support. We have our own stores and stuff. So they have brainwashed people to say, you need us, when in fact they know that we don't need them. So going back to all of this stuff, the whole thing is systemic, it's entrenched, is planned. They've been planning this for years. When President Barack Obama was elected, they went into action, overhaul. They said, oh yeah, we got to turn back the hands of time because these people now think that they are a full person. So bringing the children up, I think getting rid of the Department of Education is a good thing. I said, then you can homeschool your children because I know of some homeschools, black homeschool programs here in Georgia, and you tell them who they are. You teach them science. You teach them about Mansa Musa. You teach them our culture. So I think it's a good thing. That's not going to hurt us. It's going to teach them exactly who we are and give them the rudimentary skills in science, math, English, and all of that. Because I used to teach at a a middle school back in Boston. And what I did, it was very different. But see, when they see that you're effective, they come to you because they want those children to be on meds, on medications. Because I've seen what they've done. There was a teacher, a principal here in Georgia about 20 years ago, because I was following her. She had diabetes. She told parents they could not bring in any cakes or anything like that if children had birthdays. They could only bring in natural snacks. The reading rates improved exponentially. Every category, those children excelled. You know what? They got rid of her. They
Mm.
got rid of her. Okay. Because what they saw, because we defied the stereotypes. Everything in this country was created primarily by someone who looks like us. But they don't want you to know that. So, and when you start doing the real work, they come after you. But there are people
Yeah.
like me who say, okay, I know I'm protected by the creator of the universe. It doesn't matter. But that's why
Yeah.
people don't support, because they've been told, like the black person that you know who own all of the businesses, that we're lazy. They bought the lie. All the
Mm.
racist lies that white people have said about us, they have bought them. And they're like, well, the only way I can succeed is to have white people in my businesses. They have white people at the front desk. They bought it. When in fact that's not true. So,
No.
by with the
And
children, home, if even if they're in public school, homeschool them. Give them an alternative. When they go to those schools, they tell them that they're nothing. Parents need to have interactive learning tools, because everything you can get now, in terms of a computer game, that tells them the opposite. I had a guest on my show, Kenya Harper. She has a whole slew of books with black
mm,
children. Amazing. She's amazing. Do you hear me?
mm,
She teaches them their culture, Swahili, and all of that. I had another guest, um, Dala. Dala had a black dog back in the 90s, doing very well, and they lost their funding. There are people out there that are doing the things to contradict and to erase all the stuff that's been planted in our children's heads and planted in our heads. So that's what I do with my podcast and other things, so that people know there are alternatives, and it's online. All you have to do is just put it in there and search. But people have been brainwashed to believe the lie that we don't have these things, but it's not true. Because I'm in the field I'm doing, I'm interviewing people, and I know people personally. So that's what I do to refute all those stereotypes. So for the children, get black dolls. That's non-negotiable. Get black computer games. That's non-negotiable. There's a urban intellectual, whole list of black cards that he sells doing extremely well, that tells children, family members our history. Non-negotiable. If you don't have those things in your home, that's an issue.
that's
That's an
right.
issue because the
That's
things
right.
are out there and they're not expensive.
I would, Professor Jamila, thank you so much. I wish we had more time. It's an hour show, but we have to do this again. I believe that once we have a topic that's really important, that we come back again and do the part two. So I'm going to have to bring you back to do part two, because there are lots of other aspects of empathy that we need to talk about. In conclusion, though, empathy is not just a feel good concept. It's a vital
Thank you. It
skill.
would be better to
You
come
know,
back.
yes, 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 yes. Empathy is a vital
Right.
skill that can transform our relationships and communities. We are not saying that anybody's other races or other people are not important. Of course, they are. Everybody has the right to survive and do so by supporting each other, by supporting themselves, supporting each other in the communities, because we're a diverse community. So we need to develop that
Hmm.
empathy to pave a way for understanding, for acceptance, and ultimately a more compassionate world. So it is so important that we continue to talk about this topic.
Hmm.
But I want to thank all of you for joining us in this exploration of empathy's role in relationships. If you found this episode insightful, share it with someone who might benefit. Until next time, Let's continue to cultivate empathy in our lives and in our communities. And I just want to thank my dear friend, Professor Jamila, for being here and contributing immensely to this awesome discussion today. And like I said earlier, we are going to see you again because we have to continue this conversation. Remember, you can never learn too much. It's
Yes.
always good to keep your ears and eyes open so that you can learn more, if not from your immediate community, but from somebody outside of your community that you can learn from. All right. So thank you so very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next Saturday.
Thank you.